Alright guys, I'm super excited to be talking about this prize pack. We are going to be doing it with the card view kind of setup for this video, because a lot of people said they really liked that format for the reveals. So here is that for you. We're talking about the prize pack for the Resistance is Feudal OP event for Star Trek Attack Wing, and this is month 3. Sorry for the delay. There's some technical difficulties I'm having on my end. I think it's almost time to buy a new computer at this point. But getting back to the cards, here's the high yield photon torpedoes. And of the 3 participation prizes we've seen, from the target locks to the extra shield, to these high yield photon torpedoes, I think that the set as a whole has been really great. I love how they kind of benefit across the board. They're not specific, or rather I should say, they don't specifically benefit, particular fleets like the flagship cards kind of did. A lot of them, like specific cards, did a lot better on certain things, and there are certain factions, and I'm going to look at Dominion as a whole and say they didn't necessarily benefit as much from the flagship cards as, again, and when they came out it was even worse. And I like the fact that these participation prizes are kind of more broad and kind of respects the fact that this game has substantially diversified in terms of factions, and there are so many different ways to play them now. Having something that just slightly betters a specific mechanic or aspect is really cool, and I like that a lot. Let's talk about the ship, shall we? We're looking at the Trager here, which is, as far as I can tell or remember, the first Cardassian ship, like, ever on Star Trek, given that it was the one that showed up on Next Generation with, the first encounter of a Cardassian, or rather, the first showing of a Cardassian on the television show. So I really like, the fact that they drew from there, and I like the fact that, ultimately, because this is an assimilated ship as well, eventually, they picked the ship that was. Like, when we talk about this game, and why I love this game so very much, it's because the universe is so rich, and when prize packs especially reflect the richness of the universe, I just can't help but fangirl out. So here is the card. The ability's okay. I think it's pretty okay. It's interesting to see that mechanic available to non-Federation, because I don't actually remember if you can do that. Disable shields does something as another action, and apart from like the Borg's version of the drone tokens, which as a mechanic I also like, for the sake of action economy. But I think that this is really interesting, and I think that the other limitation on this ship being one that it cannot be with its kind of assimilated ally is again another one of those bits that says, hey, this is not about being OP, this is about, or OP in the term of overpowered, not OP as in organized play, but I think that that's what makes it kind of rich and again touches back to the universe. So I think that's cool. The assimilated version is 64758. And before we get started, we can talk a little bit, I guess, about the art. And given that the ship as a whole, like, you don't really see it much, and this is just another Galler class essentially. And specifically the assimilated version, you don't see it at all because that's pulled from the extended universe. Because they wrote it into a set of novels where I guess the Dominion and the Borg actually did fight essentially. So there's that, and I think that's okay. I think that there's some really interesting mechanics here. I like the ability on this ship. Again, it's not crazy overpowered. This ship isn't something that people are going to be chasing for, so I like that. I appreciate that. When it comes to prize ships, I love prize ships that are fluffy. I am not such a big fan of prize ships that substantially change the meta and make it a must-have for people who play competitively. So that's cool. And the ability to set your one evade die to something is really great, and if you take this with that elite attack or elite evade dice from the first month participation prize from the the collective, I think it was the collective pack, I love that dice. I think that this card with that dice could give you a lot of options. So there we go. Let's move on to the captains here. Tactical drone, which means it's a Cardassian with a Borg eye, woo, ocular implants, and Galmaset. And Galmaset is, since I did mention Trager being the first Cardassian ship ever shown on a Star Trek show, Galmaset is the first Cardassian ever seen on a Star Trek show. He is played by the same actor, the incredible actor who played the absolutely awesome Gul Dukat, who I kind of have a crush on because, he's kind of like a tragic, I don't know, tragic hero, a little bit. He hints at that, but bad boy with power, there's an appeal there. But going back to Galmaset, he, in the extended universe, as a kind of add-on point, he is actually related to Gul Dukat, hence the visible, relation, the family relation, i.e. the fact that they're played by the same actor. But, you also have, given that he's the first character, if you go back to the Next Generation episode where he appears, his armor is very different. They hadn't yet established the race of the Cardassians yet, and their look quite yet. I don't know if you can tell in the card, but if you go to the show, it's really bad, because that is facial hair. He's got like this weird mustache, on his face, and it's, yeah. So, Galmaset, the only Cardassian ever to be seen with bad facial hair. Yeah. And there's his ability. I really do like that ability. I think that Galmaset on this particular ship is not the right way to go about that because I think the auxiliary power token on a Gala-class ship is like, it's pretty much a death sentence. You need to be able to move. You need to be able to move in this game, and auxiliary power tokens on already mobility challenged, I guess, ships, just they don't work. So yeah, they're the captains. We can talk about the Borg upgrades a little bit. I think that Neural Link and magnetometric guided charge is really interesting. I think that as a Borg upgrade, it can be very interesting, but in the landscape of other Borg upgrades, it's not necessarily crazy because there are some really crazy abilities out there too. So, in terms of like, it's essentially like it acts like photon torpedoes. So yay. Neural Link is also interesting. I don't think you'll see it at all in competitive play, given that there are these suggested tournament formats that require you to have a decent number of ships, and taking 3 points on a ship, you won't see it generally, with Borg players, unless they're just people who really love the Borg, and I think that that's one thing that maybe a lot of the discussion about the meta hasn't really included. We give a lot of, we give a lot of, I don't know, heck to the designers who obviously do love the Borg, and that's cool. You know what? I love the Borg too. I think they're freaking cool. So yeah, don't be sorry about the Borg, but that kind of is given the feeling that it's translated to really overpowered abilities, and the Borg are very powerful. I don't think they're unbeatable, and people who just want to play Borg, there are people out there who have Borg, who love Borg, and yeah, so good on you, Borg players. This one's for you. And finally, we can talk a little bit about the Dominion upgrades in this pack. Glindaro is interesting. I think that he's, I feel like a lot of the Dominion upgrades in this pack kind of mimic the stuff that we see out of the Federation stuff. In, for example, the Trager's ability to disable shields. Glindaro looking a lot like, any of the Federation engineers, essentially, who can fix shields. But there's also Truce, and Truce reminds me of the first prize pack from the Ferengi. And if you want to talk about an underpowered, highly fluffy prize pack, we can talk about the Ferengi as a whole and their representation in the universe. But Truce is really cool. I like it as an ability. I find that it's an especially interesting card when you take it up against the Borg, because in my experience, being able to shut down the Borg's attacking for a turn is amazing. And if you do take this on a captain skill greater than 5, you do have to pay more points for it, so it does mitigate that out. But at the same time, I think that declaring it earlier is going to be worthwhile. So if you're going to take it, you know you're in a Borg heavy meta, this is a great card for that. You might also, if you like this ability and you're looking for something that because you're playing cross faction, look for the Ferengi version of this kind of truce ability, because I think that it doesn't have as heavy a price tag on it. But it is still a very good ability to have. If you do end up with it and you have a very Borg heavy meta, you can kind of shut them down. So that is what we're looking at in this prize pack. Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. And while you're down there, let me know what you're looking forward to the most in upcoming OP events. Because I'm honestly, seeing the Ferengi booster has made me have hope again for being able to play Ferengi as a fleet. They are awful. I play Faction Pure, so they are just terrible, but they're fun, and so I'm going to be looking forward to doing that in some future events, and I'd like to see what you're doing in your future events. Alright, thanks for watching.